why did ADA move so much, and then why did it not sell off as much as people thought? I think people thought it was going to sell off a whole lot more than it did. And the reason is people kept calling this the mainnet launch. Mainnet launch. That's technically speaking not an accurate statement whatsoever. So what happened was the Mary's hard fork. And so there's two layers with Cardano. Let me find some white space. So Cardano has two main chains. Now again, the way Cardano works is it has this multi-chain orchestration capability. So just multi-chain, right? So it can manage multiple side chains. So their scaling solution is a bunch of side chains. So these are smaller side chains. Now the two main chains. So these two main chains. One's called the settlement layer, the SL, the settlement layer. The other one's called the computation layer, the CL. So the settlement layer is where tokens like ADA live. This is where unspent transaction outputs are recorded. So your UTX, your account balance basically is recorded on the settlement layer, and all things associated with currency exchange and account balances. So what's unique about Cardano is that on the main settlement layer, on the main chain, this new settlement layer is coded to enable a native multi-asset. So that means if I want to create Brandon's coin, so we'll call it, or let's call it CTT for Crypto Trades and Tech, right? So we're going to create a Crypto Trades and Tech token on Cardano. So I'm going to create my CTT coin here. My CTT coin has the same access and the same treatment, the VIP treatment that ADA, the native token of Cardano, gets on the main settlement layer chain. So CTT, and you can swap CTT for ADA at the same price of doing a transaction or of a transfer on ADA. So to send ADA from one wallet to another is a penny or something like that, US dollars equivalent, so a fraction of an ADA or something. I forget how much. It's not very much, right? So to trade assets, it's the same as moving funds around, right? So you can natively trade assets on the main settlement layer. This is unique because, like on Ethereum, you need something called you need a smart contract. You need a full smart contract and tokens. So if I wanted to create the Crypto Trades and Tech coin on Ethereum, I've got to write this smart contract with a bunch of coding in here. And one of the big problems Ethereum has is that this coding is subject to a lot of errors and issues and bugs. There's been a lot of coins that had bugs, ERC20 tokens and coins that have had bugs that crashed the whole project. Okay, that's been a big problem. And it's a lot of risk that you're taking on. It's a lot of work. It's very difficult to write a full smart contract just to support a new token. Well, over here on Cardano, in my dataless wallet, I can go using the GUI. Now there's a CLI for doing this too, so there's a command line interface. You can create new coins with the CLI, or in a new dataless update, you can do it with the dataless GUI. So just right in the dataless wallet, you can create your own coin, and it gets the same treatment as ADA in this main settlement layer. That's what went live. It was just an upgrade to the settlement layer. The Mary's hard fork was just an upgrade of the settlement layer to support multi-asset. So that's all it was. It was an upgrade to the settlement layer to support multi-asset. What's still yet to come is the live. Now, this computational layer is in testnet, and in the near future, the Cardano team will fork the computational layer. The full Goguen computational layer will be forked and made available, and start using this multi-chain orchestrator. We'll start talking to the settlement layer, and that's when Goguen will actually be live, when the computational layer exits its testnet phase and becomes a main chain, and then starts orchestrating with the settlement layer. And the computation layer is what allows you to write smart contracts. Now, you don't need smart contracts to create coins, remember, so you can just natively create tokens on here. But then you can do, you can write your smart contracts to do whatever it is functionality that you want that enables full functionality on Cardano. That's yet to release. So, the reason the sell-off, the point of me going through all this, was the reason the sell-off wasn't as steep as people think maybe thought because they had a misunderstanding this was some type of like mainnet launch, is this was simply an upgrade along the path to getting Cardano fully rolled out. Now, it enabled a lot of really cool stuff, and it allows some projects like NFTs and decentralized exchanges to get to work. And there's a lending platform, I forget the name of it, it's Liquid or something like that, that's going live. They're actively developing on Cardano to be a lending platform. And they're being very active in development ahead of Goguen, but as soon as Goguen goes live, they'll be live. So when Goguen goes live, the computational layer will come to life and Cardano will be fully launched. Then after that, let's go to the Cardano.org. I just want to make sure you guys understand this. I go to developers and the roadmap. All right, so what we're talking about here is, if you remember, something called Shelley launched late. So in 2020, I think it was August or September 2020, Shelley went live, which allowed staking, basically, and decentralization. So it allowed the community to start to mint blocks. It allowed stake pools and staking on with ADA on Cardano. And then this Mary's hard fork was kind of a bridge between Shelley and Goguen. It was the kind of the final update to the settlement layer before the computational layer can then be fully active. So it was the bridge. It was the key bridge to enabling to the completion of Shelley, and it was really the first phase of enabling Goguen. So Goguen, once it gets launched here in a few months, that's the computational layer going live. After the computational layer, there's still a bunch of upgrades yet to come after that are all scaling upgrades. So right now the consensus mechanism is called Ouroboros. Now there's a layer to Ouroboros called Ouroboros Hydra, where you can Hydra obviously meaning multiple heads, multi-heads. So it's a scaling mechanism. It's a series of scaling updates. It's not one thing. It's not a single. It's a whole series of updates they have planned. Now all 5 of these have been developed simultaneously. This is not they worked on Byron and then they did Shelley and then they did Goguen. No, from the beginning they've been working on all 5 of these. This was the plan of rollout, right? So all 5 of these have been worked on together. But so after Goguen goes live, the other thing is Goguen will probably have a sell the news event for Goguen because it's the biggest of all of the updates. When Goguen finally happens, then Cardano's fully functional and live. But there's still scaling updates that are in the pipeline that are being developed actively today, and so there'll still be a lot of hype around the different scaling elements. And then Voltaire is the final phase, and that's really already in process greatly because the governance mechanism and the treasury system requires that we get to decentralization. So you can't do this without this. So obviously, Voltaire, these steps are required to get to Voltaire, especially the Shelley era stuff. So that's where we're at. That's why ADA didn't sell off as much as I think people thought, and that's why it still has a lot of room for hype because we still have 3 major events to come for Cardano. 3 major events that are going to happen here before too long. Number 1 is any Goguen updates. I always spell Goguen wrong. I'm going to double check the spelling. G-O-G-U-E-N. I have an issue spelling that. Any updates related to Goguen going live, right? There's going to be some hype around that. 2 is Coinbase listing. It's going to happen any day now. That's going to cause... Right, that's going to cause some... The fact that it's not on Coinbase is absurd. 3, so Goguen update. So Goguen still has yet to come live. Coinbase. 3, there's really kind of 4 things. I kind of mentioned one. Is an unexpected projects developing. Unexpected projects announcing that they're going to go live on Cardano. But this is most likely to happen after this. This is probably not going to happen now. This is probably a post-Goguen thing. And then... Number 4 is the Ethiopia announcement. There's been a lot of press. They've been working, I think it's IOP anyway. The country of Ethiopia is going to be using Cardano for something big. It seems to be that they're going to use it for, I forget the exact what it's for. It's somebody help me out here. Hold on. Ethiopia Cardano. It is identification system potentially, but a whole slew of things. I think it might start with an identification system, identity card system that's going to be using Cardano. But the country of Ethiopia wants to be the China of Africa, and so they're very progressive. And so They're looking to use Cardano for a lot of things. So that's going to open a multi-trillion-dollar gateway into Africa for Cardano. So those are the next kind of major things that can cause Cardano to really move in price. So that's why that's why the sell-off. I kept saying there will be a sell the news, and there was. This is it sold off what? Take a look here. 30-something%. But also that was in concert with Bitcoin selling off. So this was hardly a major sell-off because Bitcoin also sold off 20-something%. So Cardano held up so well because this was just one of many steps along the way. And because it was so, I think honestly the reason it didn't sell off is because it was a huge deal. It's a lot of work and time and energy that went into that, and it went off flawlessly. And what that kind of proved is that their hard fork combinator, the fact that they can handle hard forks like it's nothing, that's unique. There's no other blockchain that can deal with hard forks like it's nothing. And Cardano does it all the time. They hard fork all the time, and it's no big thing. And they've had hundreds of hard forks, literally, and nobody's ever noticed them. So, I think obviously most of them have been testnet hard forks, but you get the idea. Like on the main net, there's been many, many hard forks, and nobody's ever noticed it. And that's unique. No other cryptocurrency has such an easy time dealing with hard forks because of the hard fork combinator that they put a lot of time and energy into. All right, that's a little update on Cardano. Maybe I'll turn that